you say. Bless your heart, need it in the worst way. La la la, la 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 la. I'm a champion, la la la.
Hello, my name is Sharona Justman. I'm the co-founder of the Israel Conference, and I'm delighted to bring you another episode of Conversations with wonderful Israeli entrepreneurs, innovators, category creators, and people that you want to know. Today, we're going to have a conversation with the most marvelous leadership people that are coming out of Israel and bringing their technology and their techniques to help grow society, companies, government, and themselves. I want to introduce you today to my dear friend, Eeki who runs the Israel Leadership Institute. It's based out of Israel, out of some very interesting cities in Israel, with some marvelous people who are graduates. And we have today with us Ron Shimoni, who is the CEO of Sponsorim. Ron is a graduate of the Israel Leadership Institute, and we're going to be talking to him to learn a little bit about how he's used the knowledge to help grow his entrepreneurial empire. So welcome, gentlemen. So glad that you're here.
Thank you so much for hosting us.
Well, we love it.
We're excited.
I'm excited too, because not only do we have Eeki, but as people of the book, Eeki has, of course, written a book called The Last Year of My Life. Eeki, did you write this in anticipation or write it looking backwards?
So I wrote it in anticipation. My aim in writing this book is to provide people with an opportunity to find leadership within themselves and use the tools of leadership, 10 of them which are provided in my book, so that they will overcome tough situations or situations of no way out. I had one like this with myself, and I hope that this will be a blessing to many leaders who have not found the leadership within themselves yet, but it will expose them to the option of leading, first of all, yourself and then others.
Well, I remember giving you a call around 8 years ago, and as everyone says, hi, how are you? And right. You gave me a very startling response with basically, it was time out, that you had a devastating disease and there was no cure for it, and our friendship was about to become a memory. And yet here you are.
Your memory, not mine. I wouldn't be there to remember anything.
True. So what happened? How did 8 years go by and here you are, strong and vibrant and wonderful? What was the disease and how did you overcome it and how did you integrate it into ILI?
So when you called me, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I wasn't even aware not only of the disease, but how it spread all around my body. It started at the lungs, and it went through all the way down to my toes. I couldn't believe it. It was all over, bones, whatever, organs. The truth of the fact is that I thought that there's got to be a way out, but I went through visiting 4 different oncologists, each one of them with a good reputation and whatever, and they all told me the same thing. You have around 6 months. So the 4th one was even more generous, so-called, and told me, what's your childhood dream? And I said, I grew up in Israel, a very hot country, and all my life, since childhood, I dreamt that I would be walking on glaciers in Iceland. And he said, you got to do it and do it now. Book yourself a flight, go there now. And I said, why? And he said, because people who are departing, we would like them to depart with a good memory. Which is a good question. Do you have memory after your death? But that's for another meeting probably. Right. So I told him, thank you for the idea. I went out of the room. The minute I held the door handle to close the door, I actually turned back and I told him, I'll take your advice. I'll travel to Iceland, but it will happen next year and I'll still be around to come and tell you how it was. This is when I understood that there's no such thing of just giving up. And then I started acquiring and developing and using the tools that I've shared with my students at the time. One of them sitting next to me here, who has been always a leader, but has developed his leadership to the highest forms possible. And whatever I talked, I finally walked. So that's what the book is about. That's what I had. And yes, I remember that call because I was very sad to know that our friendship is going to end. But Here we
And
are.
yet it continued to our great pleasure.
Yes.
So you mentioned Ron, and as one of the graduates of the Israel Leadership Institute program. And Ron, I've been talking to you a little bit, and I see that you are a star.
Yes,
So
it is.
tell me, why did you join the Israel Leadership Institute? What did you want to accomplish? And what have you done with the knowledge that you gained?
So, first of all, we're not in regular times. And right now, we all wear this because, first of all, we have our brothers and sisters right now in Gaza. So we all pray that somehow this situation will solve them as soon as possible. And Israel is in our time, so this is a chance to give a big hug to everyone that out there, that we're still strong and everything is okay. Although we are in tough situation, but we're okay. So the ILI was something that I was acquainted to in my MBA studies. And I was looking for a program that is outside of the regular curriculum and trying to get skills and experiences which I didn't have in the regular course of business school. And
Can I ask you, where were you going to business school?
in the management college
Okay.
in Rishon LeZion in Israel. And so for me, the goal of going there, and I always use it. I was in a point where I had a young baby at home, and I understood once I became a father that I can go and continue my course of action as an entrepreneur and a businessman in different vertical which I worked in, but I understood that I have to do things that will eventually impact and change the course of the life where my children gonna grow in.
Right.
And so that actually what caused me to go to the ILI, and I can share that this was really transformative for me, because it's not just about, okay, let's give you some skills and you're going to use those skills. It's the only place where I had to look inside.
Mm-hmm.
I had to examine my vision. I had to look at my methodologies and the way that I make decisions and the way that I implement them and the way that I execute from idea to execution. Because I knew as an entrepreneur, okay, I can do that. But as a leader, how do I harness all the people and the partners to go with me and advocate it and push forward in order for it to actually become something real
And make
in real
them
life
believe you.
and make them
trust
believe me
you.
and bring true value to everybody around it. And so this entire program has taught me how I can become a better leader at home as a parent, a better business leader, and a better social leader. So I can impact my city, my community,
Wow.
and my country, basically.
Beautiful.
So that's what I was looking for, and for me it was really transformative.
Well, Eeki, when you first started out to build the ILI, and you built it with Al Schwimmer, who is one of the greats of Israel,
Yes.
the Israel Air Force Industries,
One of the greatest heroes ever.
and certainly a man of great vision and gentleness at the same time.
Yes.
You built this so that initially it was to help to create better civic leaders, that is, better mayors, better people on city councils, that middle layer of government that is so critically important. Even though we all focus on the upper layers of government, it's
Right.
that middle layers that has many people that affects our lives directly.
And actually, those are the fields where the future leaders grow.
Mm-hmm.
They go into community leadership. They go into the city council, and whether it's small towns or bigger cities, this is where they grow. And they have the chance also to go to other positions in leadership. But you see, it was back in 2005 that I identified like a global phenomena of a leadership crisis. Now, what that meant was that leadership was transformed from leadership of actions into leadership of words, into leadership of presentations. At that time, and I'm not going into any political issues here, but the two leaders that were globally recognized, Tony Blair in England and Bill Clinton in the United States, have shown a lot of capability of how they go work with the media, how the words are touching people. But then when it came to actions and to fulfilling the visions that they were so eager to present, they weren't that eager to execute them.
Right.
And I thought that with technology and the change of communication means in the world, which have become so global and so open to everybody, we will probably put our faith in leaders that present visions but never fulfill them. This is where I thought that Israel will probably be part of the global phenomena. And of course, we're part of the global village. And there's going to be a leadership crisis in Israel as well.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with leadership crisis is not whether you can overcome, say, a period of time with leaders who do not really provide. Okay, that's not the issue. It's not just one generation. It's what determines the future. And I was afraid that the younger generation back at 2005 will see what the older generation in leadership is doing, and they will think that this is leadership. And I wanted to change the course of history there. Now, you know, I might not have the biggest dreams, but I had the best partner, Al Schwimmer, who is the guy that Israel owes so much to him by providing the first 4 jet fighters, to the Israeli Air Force back in 48. He was tried for this in the United States because he was an American citizen. There was an embargo of weapons, global one,
yes,
on Israel, the newly born state.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still done that. And then he started the Israel aviation industry that has become the Israel aerospace industry later. And he managed to build one of the biggest companies in Israel. He's done so many things that the founding father of Israel, the Prime Minister Ben-Gurion, when he visited America for the first time as a prime minister, he had the biggest gathering of Jews with an Israeli prime minister ever. It was in Madison Square Garden back in 51. He stood there, and after greetings and whatever, he said, "I want to thank you for the biggest ever gift that the American Jewry have given Israel, and that is Al Schwimmer." I mean, this is shocking to even understand that he is really the greatest gift that American Jewry has given.
Yes. Well,
So with a partner like this, you know, you can run for the biggest vision ever.
Yes. Yes. And it's good to remark on Al Schwimmer and the Lions of the time. That was truly an era of leadership. But here we are 75, 76 years later, and we are now grooming a new generation of leadership. And as much as we may want new people in government, it seems that the ILI has also produced some leaders in business.
And in social endeavors, but business is very important. If I may relate for a minute to Ron here.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Ron embodies the future of leadership in Israel. It doesn't matter if he will choose political leadership, but, and I'll let him discuss this in a second. I just want to say that if there's a pride, it's not just about growing and nurturing political leaders. Actually, I would prefer that political leaders will come from the business arena and the social arena. This is where the real hardship of life is.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the real competition. This is where you need to believe in yourself.
Yes.
And people who invest in you. You see, if it's a social endeavor like a nonprofit, you need to make people believe in you so that they will sponsor what you're doing.
Right.
This is leadership. You have to present the vision. You have to be reliable, to be trustful, and then it works. And you can bring those values into government leadership or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The same is with business leadership. It's not enough that he's such a good entrepreneur. He's a leader. He makes people invest in companies that he creates, in opportunities.
So that's a really good question. Ron, what kind of an entrepreneur are you? Tell us about one of your businesses and how you've used your skill set to grow that business.
Okay, so I can share that I've created businesses in several verticals, from retail to advertising to tourism and biotech. And one of my company, which we raised over $6.5 million to, is in the biotech world where we created a unique technology to assess and analyze medicinal plants and their relevancy to specific medical indications.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lab in Israel and a lab in Princeton and New Jersey. So everything that you asked about my action as a leader, and I can share that right now I opened a new entrepreneurship initiative 6 months ago. We called Sponsoring, which is we're coming to disrupt the sponsorship world, and we're creating a marketplace for sponsorship to connect in a more relevant and data-driven way between brands that are looking to sponsor specific events or sporting team or anything like that, any sponsorship opportunities in the best way possible. And we do so
connect between them
and sponsorship opportunities
and sponsored opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And the goal is, it started actually from helping a non-profit organization which struggled to raise funds, and we said, okay, if we can help them create a better way to raise funds through raising sponsors that will go as partners, right? As partners, long-term partners, that will be amazing.
Yeah.
So even this actually started in a point of leadership to look at this and say, okay, who actually needs the help?
Yes.
Who can we help in the best way and form? And I can share as well that, one of the things that you learn in the ILI is decision making in uncertain times. And I can share that after October 7th, and I'm actually out of the reserve in the IDF. So we gathered a group of friends and we said, okay, we have to do something.
Yes.
We have to act. We can't sit at home, that for sure. So already on the 10th of October, we were in southern Israel feeding soldiers, they gathered, but they didn't have food in the beginning because everything was pretty chaotic. And since then, we did around 50 different events where we helped families of hostages, veterans, soldiers, people that were evacuated from their homes. And we did everything that we can do and raise funds and donations and everything to help lift the spirit a little bit in this uncertain time and difficult times. So my point of view of entrepreneurship, of course, it can be in business, it can be in leading social impact initiative like this. So altogether, it's a point of view as a leader that it's not just about talking about things or talking about problems, is how I'm going to fix, how I'm going to help in different forms and ways.
So very practical solutions that, as you said, can be executed well.
Exactly.
Using leadership to inspire other people to help accomplish goals.
Yeah.
All right. That's a pretty wonderful thing. Lots of universities talk about that in their business programs. Very few actually make it happen, although it sounds great. So
the reason, by the way, excuse me for interrupting, just to make the difference clear here, there's a difference between leadership and management. Sometimes the lines are crossed, and for a good reason. I would like every leader to be also a good manager. But if a leader is not a good manager and can inspire the manager or managers under him, then it works.
Yes.
Okay? You don't have to be a leader to be a manager, but you need to be a manager while you are a leader. Meaning that even if you inspire others and give them the missions, you give them the missions as a leader who inspire them, but as a manager who demands to see results. And one of the problems in leadership is that leaders are not committed to results.
Yes.
And we wouldn't have been here in this conversation, the three of us, had we not believed in leaders that come to transform reality.
Yes.
There is no use in leadership that is not transforming reality. We see in the high-tech world, which you know so much about it, and been involved with and working with the biggest companies ever, you know that the difference between what happens, for example, to NVIDIA and what happens to Intel, it's all about leadership.
Yeah.
It's either the heads of the companies are managers or leaders. The head or the CEO of NVIDIA is a leader, is not just a manager.
Mm-hmm.
While
100%.
all the managers who ran Intel in the past 15 years have been managers, not leaders. They didn't have a vision. And what we need to hope for ourselves, not just at the ILI, but everywhere in the States and globally, is that we will raise leaders who have a vision that changes reality. Otherwise, they are clerks, and clerks are great. And thank God that we have clerks who are doing all the work that we need them to do, but they're not leading.
So, Eeki, you want to bring the Israel Leadership Institute program and curriculum into the United States.
Correct.
Who should sign up for it? What's the profile of the ideal student?
So there are a few channels, as a matter of fact, not just the regular one where people, file for admission and apply for the program. First of all, we have been blessed to work in Ohio in the past few years with law enforcement organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been providing them with leadership workshops that, are different from what they get in America. The angle was not how do you pull out your gun and protect the citizens? They don't need us for this, okay?
Right.
But how do you work with community leadership? in order to make sure that the community is recovering
Mm-hmm.
after urban terrorism and others. So that's one channel. Another thing that we have developed for America in the last 2 years is leadership program for schools, for high schools. And we've already ran it one time, 1 year in Connecticut, and it was very successful on the impact on the community.
Wow.
And the third channel that we are looking at, and this is why Ron and me are here so that we will expand the opportunities, is to start our leadership classes in the States where people will apply to. The payment will not be something like you pay for a university and college.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned it because I want to tell you something about the day I knew that Ron is probably going to be one of the ones I'm most proud of, the graduates of the ILI. So
Okay.
the academic year ends. We are about to finish our leadership program, which he has as part of his academic training. And the last day of the program is something that starts in the morning, ends in the evening. Like, it's a crazy day. It's a workshop that it's actually simulations where they can test everything that they learned, the different channels of leadership during the whole year. When it's finished, comes the president of the college and sits with them, let's sum up and so on. They were tired. They've been working since the morning. It was 7:00 in the evening. And he's there to ask them, how did you enjoy the program? What did you learn from the program? And Ron raises his hand and he says, I've been studying almost 3 years at your college.
Oh.
This is the most
It
important.
was actually 4 years.
4 years,
I did
right.
the BA first.
Right. And this is probably the best thing I ever got from the studies. Nothing that I studied was that important like this. And I looked at him, I remember, and I said to myself, this is why we exist, because colleges can give you professional knowledge, which today, with how the educational system is transforming itself, you can learn it at home by Zoom. You don't have to be in class. But that does not affect your behavior.
Yes.
That does not affect your character, your capabilities, your appeal to people. When you go to a leadership program, then you do the big jump in your life. And Ron is a good example because he was a leader before he met us.
Mm-hmm.
But that
I can
empowered and sharpened everything. But most of all, made something that I'm very proud that I see in him and others as well. Commitment.
So you're
Leadership
saying,
needs commitment.
and also this sense of involvement shoulder to shoulder, where people sit with each other, not just through Zoom, but they sit, they whisper some ideas, they go off and they build an idea, they try it, they experiment. And it sounds like you, through the Israel Leadership Institute, encourage this type of experimentation.
Absolutely. The method is all about reflections. We don't discuss leadership. We work leadership within the class. We do a laboratory of leadership. And one of the things that I remember we discussed in a few days, Ron and I, is that leadership is a language. And we understand that language and we want to inherit that language to everybody who want to develop their leadership. So for example, companies who work with us, our best ever contribution to those companies is not just by a better product of everyone who went through the leadership seminars that we did with them, but they're capable of speaking a new language.
And
Leadership
what is
a
the new
language.
And
It's a language of leadership. They understand, they see each other as leaders. Today, for me to have a trip like this here to LA with Ron, where we are on a mission for the ILI to grow it, we speak leadership language now. We take missions as leaders.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think that one of the key things is it's just a way of life, right? In everything that you do, once you understand that leaders, okay, are tested in every decision that they make and every action that they make. So they take. So it's all together. You have to say it, and as Eeki said before, you have to walk the talk.
Absolutely.
And this is the way I approach things in my business. I know that in order for me to ask anybody to do anything, I have to be the example. I have to show that, first of all, it's possible, that I believe this is possible, and second, I'm committed to do so.
So, Ron, in your companies that you've developed, you're creating leaders so that you can go on a trip to help support the Israel Leadership Institute, and yet those companies keep running with internal leaders. If I was applying for a job in one of your companies, what's a quality that you would look for in me as a member of your team that you could absolutely lead and know that I'd be a good member of that team? What do you look for?
I think that the number one thing that I'm looking for, it's drive, right? Drive is the main thing, because you can be an expert in something, but if you don't have the drive to continue and learn and develop, then you'll get to a ceiling sometime.
Yes.
So it's not even about being passionate about something, because passion sometimes is tricky because it can go. But when you have internal drive, then you can connect to a mission, and you can be fully committed to make sure that mission will actually prevail. So for me, I'm looking for those people that are driven and are looking to do more than just come to work, but to be part of something bigger than them.
Because Israel are the launching pad for the Israel Leadership Institute, and Israel has been under incredible stress for the past year and has to show leadership not only internally but externally. What would be a recommendation that you'd like to make to the leadership of Israel that, from a non-political standpoint, but from an operational standpoint, that the ILI could give as a gift to the leaders of today and the leaders of tomorrow for Israel?
Go ahead. Okay. I would recommend go back to the basics. And the basics are, as a leader, you have to be part of the people, and you have to be connected to the people, understand their needs, and be there for them. Mm-hmm. More than anything, we can talk about do this or that. No, you have to start with the basics and be part of the people and make sure that they do not feel that they are transparent. No, they're not. As a leader, you have to make sure that you are there for them, especially in time of crisis. And although it's difficult and you don't have all the answers and all the tools that you can have to help them, but be there for them, first of all.
Beautiful.
Can I add something?
Always.
So it's based on what Ron just said. It's very easy for leaders to forget, why did they take the mission at all? Mm-hmm. Why did they run for leadership? Why did they start a vision? It's very easy. They fall in love with their position, and it's all about me staying in that position or me moving forward to another position,
right,
without taking care of what I came here to take care for. So based on what Ron said, I would like to also send that message to every leader in the world, not only in Israel. Remember that your mission comes from the people who voted for you, who gave their trust in you, mm-hmm. so that you will change their lives. And if you fail in changing their lives for the better, of course, you should evacuate your seat and your position and let someone else do it, because history will not forgive you for this.
It's a beautiful way to segue, if I might, and thank you for those comments. You've changed your life. And when you wrote this book, you realized that you had overcome a struggle and you had a personal mission. And your personal mission was to first save your life.
Yes.
Can you tell us how you managed to evolve and emerge from a stage 4 lung cancer condition?
So it's really very simple. Of course, down the road, it became complicated with all kinds of things I needed to learn and to execute, but it's really very simple. The minute I understood that I have nobody to blame for the disease, and I don't need to look for reasons outside myself, but it's inside myself. The minute I understood that I can take responsibility over my body, I remember that I have put a slogan which I really made all my friends repeat it again and again and again. I don't have cancer. My body has cancer, and I will control my body. This is the message that when you are taking ownership, not just over the good things that happen to you, but also over the bad things that happen to you, you're capable of thinking outside the box and looking for what could be the solutions. Today, my message is always that the more you take ownership, the more the bad things that happen to your body diminish and are destroyed or are disappearing. And I'll give you just one example. In the past 4 years, I started practicing in CrossFit. Now I'm almost 61. That's not an age to start CrossFit. And it happened after I rose up from sitting in a wheelchair for 6 months because I couldn't walk during my treatments. I mean, my knees were hurt and so on. Every time I go to my CrossFit exercise, I actually tell my body while driving to the CrossFit box, I tell my body, oh, you think that I'm tired? Oh, you think that I'm broken? I'll show you what's going on with me. And this is the way to succeed, because you determine what your body should do. It's all about a state of mind, and we should all benefit from this. Everyone can understand that they have ownership over their lives, over their body. And once you know that no one is to blame, you take responsibility.
Absolutely.
You live as long as you can.
That is a beautiful, beautiful message. And Eeki, thank God you had that attitude so that I could have a friendship for life, for longer than life, and so that you could help inspire others to become leaders, not only of others, but to be leaders of themselves.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
That is absolutely gorgeous. And I hope that you continue and that we should all read your book, purchasable on Amazon.
Yeah.
And that we will become students at the Israel Leadership Institute.
Amen.
It's a dream.
Yeah.
Well, it's a dream that's becoming a reality. As our famous friend Theodore Herzl said, if you wish it, if you believe in it, it will happen.
It will happen. Yeah, it can happen.
So with that, we wish all of you to have much success, be leaders,
Shana Tova.
and Shana Tova. Okay.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure spending time with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To see more conversations with extraordinary Israeli business entrepreneurs, visit theisraelconference.org.
For when I stumble.